what that does, Mr. Black, is what that tells me is sometimes you tie one on. Okay, so Noah, Mr. Harrison, Mr. Black's here. Is St. Marie, we're going to go ahead and take care of this plea. It got stalled the other day, and Mr. Harrison's back here, so we'll just go ahead and do this. Mr. Harrison, I've got a statement of defendant on plea of guilty. Mr. Black says you're 39. How far did you get through school, Mr. Black?
I'm a graduate.
So high school?
High school, yeah.
So we'll say 12 plus. And you're pleading guilty to DUI, and I know you know all about that because you've been talking about this for the last year and a half of your life. So the agreed sentence, it looks like, Mr. Murphy, is 364, 303 suspended, 1 day in jail. Did you do a day in jail? Have you done your day?
I didn't do the day yet.
Okay, and then 60 days of scram, and I'm sure Mr. Harrison explained to you, you got to get that set up, and it costs you money and all that, and I don't have to follow anyone's recommendation. If I want to give you 364 days in jail, I can. You're giving up your right to a trial by a judge or jury, giving up your right to remain silent, giving up your right to hear and question witnesses, giving up your right to present your own defense, testify on your behalf. You give it the presumption of innocence. You lose any right to appeal of finding a guilt. If I find that you're guilty, you understand you're giving up those rights, don't you?
Yes.
And that I don't have to follow any recommendations. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, did you have a chance to see the statement of defendant yet?
No, but it's consistent with what Mr. Harrison and I discussed.
Okay. The statement Mr. Black makes is June 19th, 2022. And well, I was pretty right about it. It was a year, not a year and a half. Clallam County, I drove my vehicle after having consumed alcohol. It affected my ability to drive. I don't remember, Mr. Harrison, what was the blood test on this? Is this a blood test plea?
Judge, I don't recall right off the top of my head, so let's see.
That's okay.
In the discovery, and it says it was, I believe, a breath, no, a point 272, 0.270.
Yeah, so Mr. Black, I'm sure you and Mr. Harrison had a discussion about whatever effects are on your license. And if you weren't in Forks, and if you weren't such a good egg about showing up, and if I was alarmed by any part of this, I might put you in jail more for the 2.27. But I see that Mr. Black's been to Quileute Counseling and Recovery Services. This is dated May 8th, 2023. So he's been on the ball with, are you actually in treatment, or what do you do?
It's like group classes.
So you go to group at Quileute?
Yep.
So yeah, I find that the plea is knowingly and voluntarily made. I have no reason to modify it in any way. Now, the judgment and sentence. What did we say the suspended time was, Mr. Harrison? Was it?
Well, Judge, it is an open plea. Mr. Murphy was kind enough to give us a lot of different options for Mr. Black, and it's an open plea. But I think what the state is going to be asking for is 60 days EHM and confinement of at least 1 or 2 days. I can't recall what Mr. Murphy's asking for.
Yeah, so what I was going to be asking for was 2 days jail and 45 days of EHM, because I think you, Mr. Harrison, you said you wanted to take option 1A.
Yeah, that's yeah. He gave us a lot of different options, Judge. Mr. Murphy was trying to work with us to come up with a resolution for Mr. Black, taking into account his job and how long this has been going on and everything.
Right. So what about your job? What's going on with your job right now?
I'm a commercial fisherman at the moment. So
they could, and you're a Quileute, aren't you?
Yes.
So somebody can work with you if you had to do 2 days in jail.
Yeah.
Right. So here's what I'm thinking. You probably owe us 2 days in jail because you blew a 2.7. I think that's fair. I mean, that's what I would do to anybody else. If you blow above a 1.5, you got to do 2 days. And instead of doing the 60 days EHM, we'd do a 45. Mr. Murphy, you're okay with 45 days?
Yes, Your Honor. So the way I have it on the JNS is it's 364 with 350 suspended. That's 5 days to serve. 2 days is jail, and then 3 days converted to 45 days of EHM. And that's pursuant to the 15-to-1 ratio from RCW 46615055.
We can do that. So he's going to do.
The only thing that I would just ask if the court would consider a little less of the jail time in EHM, and the only reason for that is just the ability for him to go offshore and have EHM transmit and be able to work. I understand the jail, and I'm not asking if the court's considering not imposing EHM. I would not ask for jail in conversion.
Oh, I understand.
But it's just
that raises an interesting point, actually. Let me look here at Mr. Black. He had a DUI in 2011, which is way beyond the 7-year range. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. It got amended. But what that does, Mr. Black, is what that tells me is sometimes you tie one on. Yeah. So here's where I'm coming from on this. So if you looked into EHM, do you think there's going to be a connection or transmission problem when you're out on a boat, or do you know?
When does that mean, like lose service of some sort?
Right. In other words, if they can't figure out where you are, they have to violate you, and then we got to bring you back here and put you in jail.
The service is really spotty.
I know
there. That would be the only concern.
And Mr. Murphy, what was your thinking on the EHM?
I was trying to recognize that he had a job, and so I was taking into account his. I wanted to take into account that prior DUI, and it's not a mandatory, added to the sentence. What's the season that he's working? Like, what's the?
Yeah, how long are you going to be fishing this year?
Up until I find my construction job again, just kind of filling the gap.
Okay.
This is a summertime fishing requires 2-3 days out in the ocean.
Right. Well, I don't want you to get violated because you're out on a boat and you lose connection. Well, you owe us 2 days for sure. And Mr. Harrison, what Mr. Murphy is saying is there is this prior DUI. I know it's beyond the 7 days, but the thinking was, and Mr. Harrison, it sounds like you got 2 or 3 options. So what do you think is the best option for Mr. Black?
Well, Judge, we went over all this. It was a tough choice. He had multiple, the other options were plead guilty to other charges and things like that. So, I mean, bottom line, this was the one that we were going to try to work through. If the court, I don't know what your policies are in community service or conversion. It's just that, and maybe it's if he has an opportunity to go fishing, maybe we need to bring him back in front of the court and ask for a special dispensation for EHM, like suspension. I don't know. I'll leave it up to the court and Mr. Black. He knows that if the court imposes 45 days EHM, that's going to obviously trump anything else when it comes to fishing, and he's going to have to make do and figure it out. Again, I was just concerned about his ability to make a living and and go off. But obviously, he knows he has a responsibility. He's been very easy to work with, given that he's, I'm his second attorney. He kind of got abandoned a little bit there, and he'll do whatever the court tells him to, because he knows he's got an obligation to the court, and he's been doing his treatment and coming to court every time the court tells him to.
I know. He's been very, very responsible. Well, I'm looking at this 2 ways. One is I could give you 30 days EHM and bump it out. You'd have to get it done by September 30th or something, but there might be an easier way, since are you proud to be a Quileute?
Yes. Okay.
How about we do 240 hours community service over the next 12 months? 240 hours community, so you can give back to the tribe.
Absolutely.
That might work better.
Yeah.
For everybody. So you're going to do 2 days in the bucket. You got to figure out when your 2 days are you want to get it over with soon?
Get it over with, yeah.
Can we start today?
Maybe I could go tomorrow.
Okay. Let's get you to report. Tomorrow's Tuesday, isn't it? Let's get you to report by 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah. Because then you got to do 48. Okay. What's that?
I wouldn't say because I have class on Thursday, so I can get it Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah. So if you start tomorrow morning, if you show up at the jail tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so that's Wednesday, and then 9 o'clock Thursday, you'd get released in the morning on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Does that give you time to get to your class?
Yes.
All right, let's have you report before 3 p.m. tomorrow for your 48 hours.
Okay.
The sooner you get here, the better, obviously.
Yep.
And we'll give you a report sheet. But then over the next 6 to 12 months, I want you to do 240 hours community service somewhere. And it's got to be somewhere in the Quileute Nation, somebody that can sign letterhead saying Black did this for us. How about that?
Got it.
Got it. That might work better. I don't know if that makes the prosecution unhappy or unhappy, but happy or unhappy, but I think it works better. So we're going to do that way he can stay working. So it's going to be 2 days jail. By tomorrow, you report before 3 p.m. tomorrow. 2 days jail, 240 hours community service. And what we're going to do, Archie, is we're going to have a review. And oh, by the way, you're going to owe some fines. So we got a fine of 500. We got alcohol violator fee 250, criminal conviction fee 43, criminal traffic fee 102, probation monitoring fee of $1,200. Now, there's a trick with that. You're going to be on monitor. You're going to have to talk to Ms. O'Brien, our probation officer.
Okay.
And what happens with that is if she says she can't find you, and we do have problems with people in the push who fish because the phone reception can be really bad. You probably never heard that before, did you? Sometimes she's trying to return your call or call you and she can't find you. And then she's got to come to me and say, I can't find that Archie Black dude.
I'm pretty good at checking in before taking off.
Right. So the way to lower your costs on a probation is to do everything that she wants in fast time. So the amount of fines you owe, you're going to be on what's called a probation for 60 months. So the time is suspended for 60 months, but it's an active supervision for 24 months. But I'm just telling you, the faster, when she comes to me and says, Archie Black has done everything I've asked, there's nothing more for him to do, we kick you off supervised probation. You still have suspended time, but that's what we're looking for. So I want 240 hours community service for the Quileute tribe. I don't care if you come to Forks and do something here in Forks, but I want you to do that.
Judge, when his all of his commitments are met, financial, community service, jail, does the court keep him on active probation for the 24? Do you move to inactive upon a recommendation?
Right. That's what I was trying to tell him. As soon as Miss O'Brien tells me that he's done everything he needs to do in terms of treatment, alcohol drinking, well, you got treatment, in terms of, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, whatever, the DUI panel, all that kind of stuff. As soon as you've done everything you can possibly do and there's nothing else she has to supervise you on, she hands me an order that terminates active supervision. So we're going to have a review. We need a review on your community service hours for sometime in September. How about September 25th? Review community service hours, September 25th. I don't know what your policy is, Mr. Harrison. Are you going to withdraw by then or are you going to stay on?
Oh, I like to stay on unless there's a violation or something like that. And then we talk about it. But generally I stay on. I'm invested in Mr. Black. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, we like Mr. Black. I felt bad for him and I was glad you got on the case. So we're going to come back here September 25th at 9:30. And I hope you tell me that you got like 120 of your 240 hours.
Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah. So that way I'll know you're not drinking, you see, because if you get your stuff done, then
yeah.
I'll know. That's the problem with having a judge that grew up around here is I'll know.
Yeah.
When somebody from the Quileute will tell me.
Yeah.
If they got problems with you.
So I'm looking into the JNS to have them sign that.
Oh, I know.
Yes, you have it, okay.
Yeah.
You want to come up and sign this one, Bob? Last page there, and I'm gonna make you copy.
So you got any questions there, Mr. Black? I want you to do the community service hours. I want you to do 2 days. You can start your 2 days tomorrow. You should be good. And you can ask Ms. O'Brien if you have any questions about any of it.
Is she, or is she
She is sitting, before you leave today, you go introduce yourself to her.
Judge, one thing I don't have is, Noah Harris's email. They'll send him a copy of the JNS.
Noah, do you keep your email on the Bar Association site or not? I know.
I do, and it's
did.
pretty straightforward. noahlaw@msn.com.
NoahLaw@msn.com.
NOAHLAW.
Well, I got to teach my clerk the WSBA trick.
Ah,
NoahLaw@msn.com.
Now, do we want to do like a minute order for the jail report?
Yeah, we need a minute order. Make sure they don't. The jail will come right over here right away and say, "Who's this Archie Black guy?" We're going to give you a copy of this, so you got it. 639800022. Order to do 48 hours incarceration. State of Washington versus Archie Black. Report for 2 days jail by 3 p.m. It's tomorrow, the 18th. 18 July 2023. We'll make a copy of this for you. Oh, yeah, I think I signed that. So that they know what you're doing. And the earlier you get here, the better. I just went over and talked to them. They're always here by 8. Yeah, they'll get you out of here quicker. That's a good idea. I always figured if I had 24 or 48, I'd just go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it now, but I'm bringing the girlfriend to go get some home stuff. So.
Judge.
All right.
I just want to confirm,
Yes, sir.
was the bail bond exonerated on the?
Yeah, I didn't say that, but we do that automatically.
Okay.
And those go out Wednesday. So whoever posted the bail, we're going to send a check out Wednesday.
Okay.
I don't know who posted your bail, but
That would be the girlfriend.
yeah, she might want it. All right, Mr.
Here's Miss
Oh,
Lorraine's card.
oh, and there's, yeah, introduce yourself to Lorraine on your way out.
Get a hold of her.
Lorraine.
Yeah, if I can get a hold of her, maybe either before you go, well, she's only here on Mondays and Thursdays.
Yeah, I'd visit with her before you leave. She'll be at the window there.
Okay.
Just tell her you're a new client.
All right.
Judge, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. I hope to get more cases in front of you.
Well, we do things the old fashioned way. Nobody knows what that is anymore, Harrison.
Well, I'm up for going with the flow, Judge. Thank you.
We're old school around here. All right, Mr. Harrison, we'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Murphy.